Hello, Ectosage here on the Sage channel. It is Sleep, Art, Game, and Eat. And today I'm showing off this monstrosity, which is simply called the Core. And its main idea is that it is the core of a large space city that would exist, basically a huge space station. And from its exiting points here, 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 and of course on the mirror of each of those three sides, the city would shoot outwards and then end up looping around and connecting itself in all sorts of different ways. And you can see down there a small sage station that gives you an idea of just how big this thing is, giving you an idea of how big this city that would be built around it is. And it's actually unfinished right now, that's why it's so cubey and blocky. I'd either smooth that out, or, as you can see I have these huge things looping about, I'd bring them inwards, sort of a flat surface, and then I'd have them reach across, connect to one another, and have more geometric shapes indented into them to give it more feeling, or possibly even like living areas. Now, if I was to fly around it some more, you'll see that it has these little outcroppings here, and I'll get to those in a second. I just want you to remember them. This is sort of the inside of the station, as well as those that you're getting a sneak preview at. But if I was to fly through here, which are the entrance areas, to what would either be... No, I'll just let you see first. This would either be a large reactor, where the temple thing I just flew through would be shooting a beam of energy to the middle, and there's actually a bunch of them. We can see a bit of lighting errors happening there as I get farther away, whereas this thing is actually so large the higher quality lighting rendering doesn't happen. But you basically see that there's a bunch of these, as I call them, temple structures, and they would be shooting beams of energy to the center, and it would be forming into a great big ball of energy, and then that energy would be siphoned and harvested off from all these things to power the entire city. Or this thing would either be used possibly as that, but also as temples. And each one of these are actually big enough that they could have their own gravity generator underneath them, and people could pray at each of these different temples here, maybe at the same time that large ball of energy is being created up above, and they each have their own nice little wall that loops around them. And actually they even have their own small connecting paths that lead around them. If I was to fly down here, you can see this nice little cutout path that I have here. Now, I did actually build the whole thing out of heavy armor, which I thought would be a good idea at first, but as I kept building I realized it might have actually made the thing look a bit strange to have the whole thing covered in camouflage, so if I was to do it again, I'd probably do it out of just normal metal. But overall, though, I still like the way it looks. I love the idea of these being temples and coming around here and basically entering into each one's courtyard, or if you're flying, you could go through that large opening, or if you're walking, take the paths down here. People will be able to stand around and think about things, or whatever they like to do in this strange futuristic place. Or possibly even one day, if we were able to put gravity generators on their sides and maybe somebody modded in some water, people could stand about here and we could plant trees. And instead of this being an energy collection area, this could be a large lake just full of water, and the way I was just walking a minute ago could be a nice little river path that somehow flows in between all of the temples. Of course, you know, that is really a pipe dream probably to have water flowing about or anything, but hey, you never know what modders will do a lot far down the road. Anyway, if we were to look over here though, we have this opening here. That's the thing I was telling you to keep an eye on the outside, because that actually leads us back down to where we were a few seconds ago before we came into this structure, which is the large opening area. And of course, if we did just set this up as a energy platform, it would probably be a mixture of energy shooting out of this down a straight line to power the whole city, or energy shooting from the city straight up into that main beam. Maybe large collectors of sunlight or whatever would be on the edges of the city, beaming the energy all the way to that main core to amplify it and then send it back out. In which case, of course, people would never ever go up into that opening, and they would of course use these large openings that I have here where they could easily drift, or, well, yeah, drift up. You couldn't exactly walk up that steep incline. Anyway, I just felt like showing this. It's actually gotten to a point where I can't continue working on it because of lag issues. If I have to remove a block, it usually takes about 30 seconds, and loading up the file takes well over 7 minutes at this point. So it's getting pretty dang hard to actually work on any of it, and even just placing blocks, usually there's almost a full second of lag now when I put one down. So hopefully in the future, once the game stabilizes even more than it actually already has, and we can sort of, you know, start building endlessly as one does in maybe Minecraft, we can see this structure complete, painted, and see the city begin to grow all around it. And of course, because it is a station, I could then use modular things to help build the city out quicker. Anyway guys, I thought this might be worth sharing. It's the reason I haven't put out a video in a few days, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.